And the big news this morning is Tony Abbott's plan to cut the company tax rate. It's significant for a number of reasons, not the least of which this will compensate the 3,200 biggest businesses for Tony Abbott's generous paid parental leave scheme, which of course is a 1.5% levy. This 1.5% company tax cut under a coalition government would kick in on the same day as the paid parental leave scheme, but it would also go to the more than 700,000 other companies around the nation. So where are the leaders today? Kevin Rudd's in Sydney. He'll be campaigning in Western Sydney, obviously. Tom Connell's there. We'll cross to him shortly. Tony Abbott's in Adelaide, and let's cross live to Laura Jays. Laura, the company tax cut, they've found the money from somewhere.
They have, but we don't know exactly where from yet. Now, Tony Abbott today, or the last 2 days I should say, it's really been a policy announcement to free zone. He talked about the last 2 days, the carbon tax and the cost of living, with no real new announcements. But today there will be a significant one, a cut in the company tax rate from 30% to 28.5%. Now, this has long been promised by Tony Abbott. It's something he promised in the 2010 election campaign. It's expected to cost about $2.1 billion a year, a saving for business, but also a big cost to the coalition's budget bottom line. As you mentioned before, this will offset the impost on the biggest companies, 3,200 companies, to pay for the paid parental leave scheme. Now, you have to remember there's a bit of history here that in the 43rd Parliament, the Gillard government tried to push through a company tax cut of 1% as part of the mining tax package. The Coalition and the Greens opposed that because they opposed the mining tax in its form as it was. So interesting to look at the politics there, and it's also interesting to perhaps look at why he's announcing this in Adelaide today. It's no secret that the South Australian economy is struggling a bit at the moment, so perhaps this is just a bit of good news for this state as well as right around the country. Also today you have to look at some of the marginal seats here in South Australia and Adelaide. Boothby is one that the Liberals hold by a margin of less than 1%. Now, if Tony Abbott goes there straight away this morning, it will be an interesting move, but also one that the Liberals have in their sights is the seat of Adelaide. It's held by Kate Ellis, and that's the Labor's most marginal seat, and that's held by 7%. So plenty happening today. It's an early morning, and shortly we'll be on the bus and hitting the campaign trail. That formal announcement to come from Tony Abbott later this morning.
Laura Jays, we'll check in with you again soon. So from the Abbott campaign trail to the Rudd campaign trail, here's Tom Connell. He filed this report last night.
They say an election campaign is like going into war, and in this case, the Kevin Rudd campaign trail has the aircraft to match. This is a C-17 Hercules, certainly not the normal sort of aircraft you'd see on the campaign trail. It's going to take, though, those following Kevin Rudd from here in Brisbane down to Sydney. That's the next stop. Kevin Rudd will be likely in Western Sydney, perhaps in the seat of Greenway, where we saw the coalition candidate come up against some trouble earlier this week. So that's going to be the key battleground in this election, and where Kevin Rudd's next stop is likely to be. On the Kevin Rudd campaign trail, Tom Connell for Sky News.